He finally spoke. Ryan has lost control. The words hung in the air. For months I had suspected it. Now someone else was confirming it. Marcus explained everything. The business problems, the broken promises, the growing pressure, the lies, most importantly, the fear. Ryan was terrified of losing everything, his reputation, his relationships, his image, his carefully constructed life. Marcus had spent months trying to convince Ryan to tell the truth. Ryan refused, every time. Instead, he created new stories, new excuses, new promises. The cycle never stopped, until now, because now the truth was catching up. Fast. When the meeting ended, Marcus handed us something important. A folder. Inside were documents, emails, records, proof, real proof, not assumptions, not suspicions, facts, the final pieces of the puzzle. I drove home that night feeling something I hadn't felt in months. Clarity. For the first time, I could see the entire picture. The complete story. And it wasn't pretty. Ryan had built his life on image. He wanted people to see him as successful, reliable, trustworthy, but behind the image existed something completely different. Someone completely different. The contrast was shocking, and very soon, everyone would see it. The following week Ryan became even more nervous. He called people constantly, sent endless messages, scheduled meetings, cancelled meetings, changed plans. The pressure was crushing him. He just didn't know why. What made the situation almost unbelievable was that Ryan still had no idea I knew everything. He still kissed me goodbye every morning. Still talked about vacations. Still discussed future plans. Still acted like nothing was wrong. Watching it became exhausting, not because I missed him, because I saw how deeply he believed his own lies. Then came the moment everything shifted. The opportunity, the perfect opportunity. One of Ryan's investors organized a large networking event. Dozens of people would attend. Business partners, friends, investors, professional contacts, everyone. Ryan planned to be there. Of course he did. His reputation depended on it. The event was supposed to celebrate success. Instead, it would reveal the truth. When I first heard about it, an idea formed immediately. Not a cruel idea, not a destructive one, a truthful one. The truth would finally have a stage. And Ryan would have nowhere to hide. For days, I carefully prepared. Every document, every message, every screenshot, every piece of evidence, organized, verified, ready, not for revenge, for accountability. There is a difference. Revenge seeks pain, accountability seeks truth. And after everything Ryan had done, truth was more than enough. The night before the event, Ryan stood in front of the bathroom mirror adjusting his tie. He looked confident, almost relieved, as if he believed the worst was behind him, as if he had survived, as if his secrets were still safe. I watched him from the doorway, and for a brief moment, I almost felt sorry for him. Almost, because the next day would change his life forever. The lies were ending, the masks were coming off. The people he had deceived would finally understand what happened. And Ryan was about to learn the hardest lesson of his life. A lesson built entirely from his own choices. A lesson he would never forget. What happened at that event would leave an entire room speechless, including Ryan himself. And once the truth started coming out, nothing would ever be the same again. The morning of the event felt strangely calm. For months, I had been carrying questions. For weeks, I had been gathering evidence. For days, I had been preparing. And now there was nothing left to do except show up. Ryan, on the other hand, looked happier than he had in weeks. As he adjusted his jacket, he smiled at me. A real smile, confident, relaxed, almost proud. It was hard to believe we were living in the same reality. He thought this event would strengthen his reputation. He thought he would walk into that room admired and respected. He had no idea that everything was about to change. The venue was beautiful. Large glass windows overlooked the city skyline. Elegant decorations filled the room. Business leaders, investors, and professionals moved from group to group, shaking hands and exchanging stories. Laughter echoed through the hall. Music played softly in the background. Everything looked perfect. The perfect setting for an imperfect truth. When Ryan entered, people greeted him warmly. Several investors shook his hand. Friends smiled. Colleagues praised his recent projects. Watching it was surreal. So many people trusted him. So many people believed the image he had carefully created. But images can only survive as long as the truth stays hidden. And the truth was no longer hidden. I noticed Marcus standing near one side of the room. His expression was serious. Emily arrived a few minutes later. She looked nervous. Understandably, this wasn't easy for any of us. None of us wanted drama. None of us wanted humiliation. We simply wanted honesty. Ryan had spent years avoiding honesty. Tonight that would end. For the first hour, everything appeared normal. People networked. Business conversations continued. Drinks were served. Smiles filled the room. Ryan looked completely comfortable. In fact, he seemed more confident with every passing minute. That confidence would not last. Eventually the event organizer stepped onto a small stage. The room gradually became quiet. Conversations slowed. Attention shifted forward. The organizer thanked everyone for attending. Then he began discussing business achievements and future opportunities. Exactly as planned. Exactly as expected. Then something unexpected happened. The organizer invited several investors to share brief comments about their experiences. One investor stood up, then another, then another. The atmosphere remained positive, until one particular investor took the microphone. A man named David, the same investor who had sent Ryan the final warning email. The room listened politely. David thanked everyone, spoke about business growth, discussed opportunities. Then his tone changed, very slightly, but enough. I've always believed trust is the foundation of success. The room remained silent. David continued, without trust, partnerships fail. Several people nodded. Ryan shifted uncomfortably. I noticed immediately. David looked toward him, not aggressively, not dramatically, simply directly. Unfortunately, trust only works when honesty exists. The room became noticeably quieter. Ryan's face tightened. People exchanged confused glances. No one understood where this was going. Yet, David calmly explained that some investors had serious concerns regarding promises that had not been fulfilled. Questions that remained unanswered. Information that had never been provided. Nothing emotional, nothing exaggerated, just facts. And facts are difficult to argue with. Ryan stood up, attempting to regain control. I'm sure we can discuss this privately. His voice sounded steady, but I could hear the tension underneath. David shook his head. We've tried discussing it privately. The silence grew heavier. People stopped pretending not to notice. The room's energy shifted. Something was happening. Everyone could feel it. Ryan's confidence began cracking. For the first time all evening, he looked genuinely uncomfortable. Then Marcus stepped forward. I will never forget Ryan's expression. Shock. Pure shock. Because Marcus wasn't supposed to be involved. At least not from Ryan's perspective. For months, Marcus had protected him, covered for him, supported him. Now he was standing on the other side. And Ryan knew it. Marcus calmly explained his concerns. Again, no exaggeration, no insults, no personal attacks, just truth. Emails, records, conversations, facts, one after another. The room listened carefully. People weren't angry, not yet. They were surprised, confused, trying to understand what they were hearing. Ryan attempted to respond, several times, but every explanation created more questions. Every answer revealed another contradiction. The situation was slipping away from him. Fast. Then came the moment nobody expected. Including Ryan. Emily walked forward. The room immediately became still. I saw Ryan's face lose color. For a split second, he looked terrified. Because he finally understood. The pieces were coming together. And he knew exactly what that meant. Emily spoke quietly, calmly, with dignity. She explained how she had been misled. How promises had been made. How stories had been told. Stories that turned out to be completely false. The room was silent. No one interrupted. No one moved. People simply listened. Because the truth has a strange power. When it's genuine, people recognize it. Ryan tried speaking again, but this time even he sounded unsure. His confidence was gone. His carefully rehearsed explanations were falling apart. Then all eyes turned toward me. The moment had arrived. For months I imagined what I would say. For weeks I rehearsed different possibilities. Now, standing there, I realized something surprising. I wasn't angry anymore. The anger had disappeared. What remained was clarity. I stepped forward. The room watched. Ryan stared at me, his eyes filled with disbelief. He still couldn't fully process what was happening. I took a slow breath. Then I began. I told the story, not dramatically, not emotionally, honestly. I described the first suspicious message. The late nights, the lies, the restaurant, the discoveries, the evidence, every step, every fact, every choice Ryan had made. No exaggeration, no revenge, just truth. The room listened in complete silence. You could have heard a pin drop. People weren't shocked because of what I said. They were shocked because of how much evidence existed. The pattern was undeniable. The deception was undeniable. The truth was undeniable. For the first time all evening, Ryan stopped trying to defend himself. He simply stood there, speechless, exactly as the title of this story promised. Speechless, because there was nothing left to say. The evidence spoke for itself. The people spoke for themselves. The facts spoke for themselves. And facts don't care about excuses. Several minutes passed. No one knew what to say. The room felt frozen. Then something unexpected happened. Ryan looked at me, not with anger, not with frustration, with regret, real regret. For the first time in months, maybe years, his mask disappeared. And underneath that mask was someone who finally understood what he had lost. Not money, not reputation, trust. Trust was gone, and trust is far more valuable than people realize. Especially when it's too late to get it back. The event ended very differently than anyone expected. Conversations spread quickly. Questions continued. People wanted answers. Investors demanded accountability. Friends wanted explanations. The image Ryan spent years building collapsed in a single evening. Not because someone destroyed it. Because it couldn't survive the truth. As people slowly left the venue, I stood near the entrance looking out at the city lights. The night air felt different. Lighter. For the first